Assalamu Alaikum dear viewers, welcome back to our channel, where you can watch videos to improve your Imaan and learn about Islamic ideas and stories you may not have known about. As Muslims, we are aware that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala sent many prophets to guide humanity. Many of these are listed in the Holy Quran, while many others are not. There are 25 of them mentioned, and according to many scholars, there were approximately 124,000 prophets delivered to humanity in all, including those listed in the Quran. And we also know that we are not the only ones who dwell on earth and will be judged on the Day of Judgment for our actions. The jinns are Allah's creation, just like us, and they will be held accountable for their activities because they too have free will. But have you ever pondered if Allah sent a Jinn Prophet to guide the jinns in the same way that He sent human prophets? Or were human prophets sent for the jinn race as well? Was Prophet Muhammad ﷺ the last prophet for both humans and jinns? Or does jinn have some other jinn as their last prophet? Let's try to tackle this issue in today's video in the light of the Quran. Islamic scholars widely agree that all prophets and messengers were human because this can be found in numerous verses of the Quran. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala mentions in the Quran, "And we sent not before you, O Muhammad, any but men to whom we revealed, from among the people of the townships." This phrase, "men from among the people," in this verse indicates that prophets were chosen from humans. In another verse of the Holy Quran, this point is again made clear that the prophets that were sent to the humans were in fact the prophets of jinns as well. And mention, "O Muhammad, when we directed to you a few of the jinn listening to the Quran. And when they attended it, they said, 'Listen attentively.' And when it was concluded, they went back to their people as warners." According to this verse, a group of jinn approached Prophet Muhammad ﷺ as he was reciting the Quran, expressing curiosity. This suggests that the jinns paid attention to the messages of human prophets whenever they were sent, as no jinn prophets were sent to them for guidance. This verse also depicts that the believing jinn acted as warners, conveying the message of the human Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to their kind. The Quran further states in another verse that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was sent as a mercy to all, including humans and jinns. This supports the idea that other human prophets were also sent to guide both jinns and humans. "And we have not sent you, O Muhammad, except as a mercy to the worlds." In this verse, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala demonstrated that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was sent as a mercy to the worlds, implying that he was a prophet for both the world of jinns and us as humans, as were the other prophets. In light of the aforementioned points and scriptures, is it possible to say with certainty that Allah has never sent any jinn prophets? In actuality, the answer is not quite so simple. Some verses support the idea of jinn prophets, whereas other verses give us the impression that there were only human prophets. Let's look at some of the verses that support the coming of jinn prophets among jinn kind for their guidance. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, "O company of jinn and mankind, did there not come to you messengers from among you, relating to you my verses and warning you of the meeting of this day of yours? They will say, 'We bear witness against ourselves.' And the worldly life had deluded them, and they will bear witness against themselves that they were disbelievers." The verse poses the question of whether or not any messengers were sent to jinns and humans. This implies that both humans and jinns received prophets and messages. And there were men from mankind who sought refuge in men from the jinn, so they only increased them in burden. As per this verse, there are men among the jinns as well, from whom mankind sought refuge, but this only makes sense if there were men prophets from among the jinn too. These two verses of the Quran make us think that there might be some jinn prophets as well, about which there is no mention in the Quran. The jinns are thought to have been on earth before humans were created, and it is also told that Allah exterminated them because they had grown disobedient and conceited. Ibn Abbas al-Tabari recounts this, saying, "The jinn were the first people to live on earth. They destroyed each other and infected it with corruption and bloodshed. It implies that there must have been Jinn Prophets who taught the other jinns right from wrong, but the vast bulk of the jinns disregarded their counsel, which resulted in their punishment by Allah. Furthermore, Allah does not punish a group before sending them a prophet or messenger. Thus, if the jinn kind were punished long before the creation of human beings, it strengthens the argument that the Jinn Prophets had to be delivered to them." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, "Whoever is guided is only guided for the benefit of his soul, and whoever errs only errs against it. And no bearer of burdens will bear the burden of another, and never would be punished until we sent a messenger." Given all of the verses cited above, it is very likely that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent both human and jinn prophets to jinnkind. Although the Jinn Prophets were created especially for the jinns, it is possible to argue that the human prophets were also the prophets of jinns. It is also evident that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was the final prophet of both the jinns and humankind. Even after reaching these conclusions, we are still unable to say with certainty that the Jinn Prophets actually visited the jinns because their existence is not explicitly stated in the Quran or earlier texts. The reality is that no direct evidence suggests that jinn were given prophets or messengers exclusively for their kind. While this is a topic of debate about whether the prophets or messengers exclusively sent from the jinn, they were addressed by the messages of human prophets. This highlights the universality of Islam and the inclusivity of Allah's guidance. The Quran and Hadith emphasize that all intelligent beings, humans and jinn, are bound by the same divine law, uniting them in their purpose of worshipping Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, "And I did not create the jinn and mankind except to worship me." That's all for today, dear viewers. Let us know what you learned away from this video and whether you believe that there were any Jinn Prophets. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content. Until next time, Assalamu Alaikum.